Hey, this is Kyle with Seagraves.com. Today we're talking about VA loan closing costs and specifically who pays for the closing costs with a VA loan. So just like all other loans, VA loans have closing costs associated with them. Every single loan does. And closing costs are just kind of the grouping term that we use for any of the costs and fees that go into closing on a home. So it's everything from your appraisal to your insurance to your taxes to underwriting to everything encompassed in the deal. It's not just one lender charging you a bunch of random fees. It's every party in the transaction. It's what's going to cost to close on that deal. So VA loans are very similar to other loans in terms of the closing costs that they have. There are a couple things that are a little bit different about VA loans that you'll see compared to some other ones. Number one is the VA funding fee. So VA has a form of mortgage insurance called a funding fee. And what this means is it's the mortgage insurance paid up front, and it's either paid as a fee or it's wrapped into the loan amount. And this helps the VA continue to put out loans. And this helps the VA also insure mortgages, making sure that the VA loans have a lower rate. So basically what happens is all of that funding fee money kind of goes into its own kind of collection, this big pool of money that the VA now has. So in the future, if somebody defaults, the VA can pay the lender back the money. So since all of the loans are insured or backed by the government, it allows lenders to put out VA loans with really low rates and really great terms. So the funding fee helps you get a really good rate on VA loans and then also saves you from any monthly mortgage insurance, which is awesome. But the funding fee can be a little steep sometimes. So if you're a first-time VA buyer, you're probably going to run into a funding fee of about 2.15%. Now this is going to change depending on if this is your first time buying or your second time buying with a VA loan and how much you're putting down. But if you're a first time buyer with 0%, it's going to be about 2.15%. And you can either pay this at closing or you can wrap it into your loan. Most of the time people are going to wrap it into their loan. And so the way this would work is if let's say your mortgage is $100,000, you could either pay $2,150 at closing for that funding fee, or you just take out a mortgage for $102,150. That's normally what most people do. It's the easiest way to put that funding fee in there so there's no upfront cost. So the funding fee can get wrapped into the loan. Something else that you'll notice with VA is that you are not allowed to pay for the required termite inspection on a VA loan. So VA requires every home to have a termite inspection, which is great for you because you don't want your house to have termites. And some people opt out of getting the full inspection because, you know, after you do multiple inspections, it can all add up. But VA wants to make sure you have a termite inspection, and they are adamant about you not paying for it. So somebody else has to pay for your termite inspection. It's either going to be the seller or it's going to be the realtors or somebody else. That's normally who it's going to be, but it cannot be you in the deal. Termite inspection really isn't that much. Might run $100, $150. Shouldn't be too much more than that unless it's getting wrapped into your home inspection as well. Also, another thing that's capped is loan origination charges are capped at 1%, which means you can't get charged a super high origination fee on your loan. It's capped at 1% of your loan amount there. So the VA protects you there from getting fees that are too high or too costly from a lender. And then finally, what's a little bit different about VA is that your seller concessions are capped at 4% of the purchase price. So seller concessions, same thing as a seller credit, same thing as closing costs paid by the seller. We'll just call it a seller credit for now. But a seller credit is basically where you take a percentage of the purchase price and you can use that to pay down your closing costs. So if you're buying a $100,000 house, you can ask for the seller to pay $4,000 towards your closing costs. So they can pay $4,000 to pay down the taxes that are due, the insurance, your appraisal, any title work, any recording fees. They can pay all that down with that $4,000. And you know, usually that 4% max should cover most of your closing costs, which is going to be fantastic. So it's 4% compared to other loans like conventional, normally is anywhere from 3 to 9%, and conventional, I'm sorry, FHA allows you to ask for 6% in seller credits. So VA is a little different in that they require 4 as the max. You can ask beneath that if you want to, but that's what you can get from the seller to pay that down. So VA loan closing costs really are pretty similar. You're not going to see them set up radically different than any other type of loan, just because all loans have pretty standard costs with them, because something to keep in mind is closing costs are not necessarily something that are just charged by the lender. Usually your lender only has 1 or 2 fees in a mix of the whole list of fees that go in with closing a real estate deal. Most of the closing cost fees you'll run into are third parties. So you have the county, you have an insurance company, you have a title company, you have an appraisal company, you have a credit report company. All of these are getting tied together. So they're all going to be pretty standard through what loan you go with. But VA does put in a couple protections for you. VA is going to be just an awesome loan. If you're a veteran, go with a VA loan. Shop it around, make sure you're getting a good rate, because you should. That's an insured loan, meaning you should be able to get some really good rates and terms with them as well. Okay, I love VA loans. If I can help you out with a VA loan, let me know, or if you have any questions in the comments, I'd love to help you out. Thanks for watching.